November the 10th, 1967, Cypress Gardens Restaurant in Ridgewood, Queens. 3 men are blasted to death by a machine gun in front of a room full of diners. It is one of the most atrocious public mob hits in Cosa Nostra history, and yet it is rarely discussed. The murders allegedly ordered by Joe Bonanno and his son Bill. Let's check it out. Welcome to OC Shorts, bringing you detailed historical snapshots of the American Mafia and other organised crime. Feel free to subscribe if you like that sort of thing. Today, we're going to take a quick look at the Cypress Gardens Massacre. As most of you are probably aware, the Bonanno crime family had been in a civil war throughout the mid-1960s. Some suggest that the catalyst for the split in the family came after Joe Bonanno promoted his underqualified son Salvatore Bill Bonanno to the position of Consigliere in 1964. The previous family advisor, John Tartamella, had stepped down due to ill health, and longtime loyal captain Gaspar Di Gregorio felt that the position should be his. The decision to elevate Bill Bonanno led to Gaspar Di Gregorio forming a breakaway faction that opposed Joe Bonanno's rule. It is interesting to note that Di Gregorio was actually the best man at Joe Bonanno's wedding in the 1930s. The resulting conflict between the two factions was labelled by the press as the Bonanno Split and the Bonanno's War, and it really requires a dedicated video to itself. But in a nutshell, due to factors such as Joe Bonanno's failed plot to whack Carlo Gambino and Tommy Lucchese, the commission asked him to step down and put their support behind Di Gregorio. But Bonanno and his loyalists decided to resist, and they tried to stage a comeback. Skirmishes and shootings occurred between both sides, but actually there were few fatalities. It could even be argued that this was never a full-scale war and more of a family spat, but regardless, it has achieved almost mythical status. Anyway, some sources suggest that by 1967, Gaspar Di Gregorio realised that he didn't really have the stomach to finish the conflict, and he decided to step down, although some reports suggest that it was due to ill health. He was replaced by the commission-approved Paul Sciacca, and this was confirmed by an FBI bug on October the 31st that year. Around the same time as the FBI recording, 2 members of the Bonanno faction were attacked. Vincent Cassese was shot in his chest and arms, and Vincent Garofalo was shot in his left side, but both survived. And that brings us to the 10th of November 1967, Cypress Gardens Restaurant in Queens. Bonanno captain and Paul Sciacca loyalist Tommy D'Angelo is at his usual table with wealthy mob associate Frankie 500 Telleri, and they are waiting on Tommy's brother Jimmy. There was speculation that they were at their restaurant to celebrate Tommy D'Angelo allegedly being promoted to the position of Consigliere to Paul Sciacca. As they waited, a short, stocky man around 5'4", dressed in a black raincoat, spectacles and dark fedora hat, entered through the kitchen door. He pushed past the chef, started to open his coat and approached the dining area. Jimmy D'Angelo had just entered the restaurant and was making his way from the door to the table to greet his brother Tommy and Frankie 500. Suddenly, the 3 men all spotted and recognised the man who had entered from the kitchen, and in his hands was a submachine gun. Tommy D'Angelo and Frankie Telleri rose from their seats as the gunman opened fire, spraying an arc of bullets from near where Jimmy D'Angelo was standing and across to Tommy D'Angelo's table. Windows shattered and diners hit the floor in terror, and in the end, all 3 targets lay dead with .45 caliber rounds in their chests. Tommy D'Angelo was still clutching his white napkin. The gunman then calmly walked out of the restaurant through the kitchen. Years later, Bill Bonanno wrote of the killings and referenced it as revenge for the woundings of Vincent Cassese and Vincent Garofalo. He said, "We hit back hard," stating that the shooting was surgically precise. something that contradicts the 20 to 25 sprayed rounds, some of which flew through the windows and out onto the street. Bill Bonanno also stated that there were 2 gunmen, one of which fired shots at a high level to ensure that diners all dove for cover. Not a single witness saw a second shooter. All of them described the squat little man dressed in black. Ballistics also confirmed that only 1 gun was fired. This seems to indicate that Bill Bonanno took a leaf out of his father's book and tried to rewrite history to make his actions appear better. The following month, Paul Sciacca promoted capable mobster and Carmine Galante's protege, Frank Mari, to be his underboss. Frank Mari had been shot 3 times in 1966. Interestingly, ballistics confirmed he was wounded by the same gun as the one that would be used in the Cypress Gardens killings. So, who was the mysterious man in black who slaughtered 3 men in a restaurant full of diners? Most historians believe he was Gaspar Maggadino. Gaspar Maggadino was cousins with both Buffalo boss Stefano Maggadino and Joe Bonanno. Joe Bonanno wrote that Buffalo boss Maggadino, whom he had had a falling out with, had sent Gaspar down to New York to inform Di Gregorio personally that he was to consider himself head of the Bonanno family. Allegedly, after Gaspar Maggadino had met with Di Gregorio, he was unimpressed with his leadership qualities and came to Bonanno and sided with him. Joe Bonanno wrote, "Gaspar was not about to play Stefano's fall. Before coming to New York, Gaspar probably believed what Stefano was saying about me, but decided he would have no part of Stefano's intrigue. He turned his back on his Buffalo cousin and remained with me." After the Cypress Garden killings, Gaspar Maggadino became a ghost. That was until April 21st, 1970, when his slug-filled body was found dead on 2462 East 2nd Street, Brooklyn. He had been shot in the right shoulder and head at close range. Maggadino was dressed in construction work clothes, and nearby was a paper lunch bag. His killing remains unsolved. I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching.